Hello and a very warm welcome to World This Week by Latest Laws. This is our weekly program, so subscribe and press the bell icon to get notified. My name is Monica Rahar and let's get started by having a look at Supreme Court this week. A three-judge bench of the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Messrs NN Global Mercantile Private Limited versus Messrs Indo-Unique Flame Limited and others, in exercise of its civil appellate jurisdiction, has held that the ground that allegations of fraud are not arbitrable, it is a wholly archaic view which has become obsolete and which deserves to be discarded. The bench further observed that the allegations of fraud with respect to invocation of a bank guarantee, they are arbitrable since they arise out of disputes between the parties inter se and they are not in the realm of public law. Another three-judge bench of the top court in the case of Kirti and Nadar versus Oriental Insurance Company Limited has held that advocates cannot throw away legal rights or enter into arrangements which are contrary to law. It was also made clear by the court that any concession in law which is made in this regard by either of the counsels would not be binding on the parties. The apex court in the case of Bhavan Construction versus Sardar Sarovar has held that Arbitration Act itself has various procedures and maintains for the forums where challenge of an appointment of arbitrator can be made. So therefore the powers under Articles 226 and 227, they should be used cautiously and in exceptional circumstances. The court further stated that no doubt the ambit of Article 227 is broad and it is pervasive. However, the High Court should not have used its inherent power to interject the arbitral process at this stage. If the courts are allowed to interfere with the arbitral process beyond the ambit of the enactment, then the efficacy of the purpose will be diminished. The issue of law, which is whether non-payment of stamp duty on commercial contracts will invalidate arbitration agreement, is being referred by a three-judge bench of the Supreme Court to a five-judge bench. The Confederation of All India Traders have filed a writ petition under Article 32 of the Indian Constitution before the Supreme Court against the new and updated privacy policy of WhatsApp, seeking its retraction and claiming the following too, which is that the updated privacy policy, it is in violation of fundamental right to privacy which is enshrined under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, and secondly that the WhatsApp policy is against public law and therefore it should be discarded. The Bharatiya Kisan Union Lok Shakti has filed its reply before the apex court against the committee which was constituted by the top court itself to look into the farmers' issue. The union had filed the petition in the top court seeking repeal of the three farm laws. Now let's proceed to the next segment of our news analysis and have a look at the Delhi High Court this week. The Delhi High Court has stated that it intended to stop all non-essential and discretionary expenses of the three municipal corporations in New Delhi, including the perks of councillors and senior officers who were living like lords, so that the salaries and pensions of COVID-19 frontline workers like the doctors, the nurses and the sanitary staff can be paid. Next update that we have is with respect to the new policy brought up by WhatsApp. So the court began hearing on the challenge presented to the WhatsApp new privacy policy. The court before the beginning of the hearing had received an email from WhatsApp asking Justice Pratibha Singh to recuse herself from the case because she presented a related matter as a lawyer in the past. Though WhatsApp later withdrew the email unconditionally, Justice Pratibha opted not to hear the matter and recuse herself therefrom. Now let's proceed and have a look at an update which is coming from the Bombay High Court. The High Court, while refusing to intervene in the election of the Deputy Chairperson of Maharashtra Legislative Council, who is Dr. Neelam Divakar, observed that High Court in restricted circumstances can exercise its power of judicial review to ensure that there is no abuse of power by the legislature in respect of its proceedings, and the court must proceed further with caution and judicial restraint because the High Court is not an appellate body over the state legislature, nor is the state legislature an inferior organ to the High Court. Article 212, it prohibits the courts from inquiring into the proceedings of the state legislature on the ground of any irregularity of procedure. Now in the next segment, let's have a look at significant decisions which have come from the Allahabad High Court. The Allahabad High Court, while dismissing a plea, has observed that the writ of mandamus cannot be issued against a private body like Mahindra Finance Bank because it did not fall under the scope of Article 12 of the Indian Constitution, which defines state. The court, while dealing with the petition filed by 16 students of different colleges, has directed a complete inspection of all government buildings which are situated in Prayagraj to see if the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act of 2016 is being applied in the state or not, and also the directions which were given by the Supreme Court in the case of Rajiv Raturi versus Union of India and others. The High Court, while dismissing a writ petition seeking direction to Principal Secretary Law and Justice of the state of UP to introduce a bill called Advocate Protection Act, ruled that a constitutional court is not legally equipped to give any direction to the legislative organ to enact any particular law. In the case of Sachin Saini versus State of UP, it was observed by the court that arrest should be the last in draw for the police officials and should only be made in cases wherein the custodial interrogation is crucial. Now let's proceed with the miscellaneous segment of our news analysis. All the members of the election committee which was set up to conduct the election for Supreme Court Bar Association this year, they've resigned. The chairperson of the election committee was senior lawyer Jaideep Gupta. In an earlier development on Thursday, the president of Supreme Court Bar Association, Dushyant Dave, he resigned from his post with immediate effect, stating that he has forfeited his right to continue. Lawyers who are coming from outside and who are not in regular practice before the Punjab and Haryana High Court Bar, they may not be able to appear directly before the High Court without engaging a local lawyer to argue a case. The High Court administration has initiated this process to prepare the role of advocates for lawyers who are practicing before the High Court as per relevant rules of the Punjab and Haryana High Court rules and orders. A supplementary charge sheet has been filed by the Mumbai police in the ongoing TRP scam, which is alleged that the now arrested ex-CEO of the Bar institution, which is Partho Das Gupta, he used his position to help Republic TV editor-in-chief, who is Arnav Goswami, to maintain the TRP leads. The charge sheet also has disclosed a 500 pages of WhatsApp conversation between Arnav Goswami and Das Gupta, which also reflects on the fact that there was certain communication between the two with respect to manipulation of TRP. The Supreme Court has appointed former Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi as sole arbitrator in the case of MCM Service Private Limited versus Italian Thai Development Public Company Limited. The top court, after obtaining consent from both the parties, has assigned the ex-CJI the role to mete out the disputes. Now let's proceed with the last segment of our news analysis, which is the international news. Lawyers with the US Department of Justice, they've asked a federal appeals court to replace the name of outgoing President Donald Trump with that of the United States as the defending party in a defamation lawsuit which was brought up by a woman who said that President Donald Trump, he committed rape on her in 1990s. The Supreme Court of South Korea has upheld a 20-year prison term for former President Park Geun-hye over bribery and other crimes as it wrapped up its historic corruption case. U.S. District Judge Myron Thompson has stated that the policy of state of Alabama, which is to the effect that people can only change their sex designation on their driver licenses only by changing their genitals, is unconstitutional. He directed the state to give new licenses to the 3 transgender women who filed the lawsuit, reflecting that they are in fact women. US President-elect Joe Biden, he has formally pronounced Appellate Court Judge Merrick Garland as his nominee for the post of US Attorney General. That's all we have for this week. The links of all these news updates, they are made available in the description section for your kind consideration, just in case you need more information with respect to these news which are covered herein. And thank you for being with us.